Listen, Akeem Talib's a different dude. He's a dog. I mean, he'll just go up and snatch a chain. Like, he wants to go out there and battle all the time. And not to say that Jaylen Ramsey doesn't, but it's just a different time now. Guys aren't going to go to OTAs and risk injury for no real upside when you're a 6-7 year veteran.
The NFC West preseason division power rankings are here. I'm Cody Roark of Pro Football Network Daily, joined alongside our lead NFL analyst Dalton Miller and Ian Cummings as we break down where we believe the divisions fall. We've got the AFC side. We have other NFC divisions that we've broken down here on the Pro Football Network YouTube channel. Dalton, I'm going to throw it to you right away. The NFC West is always one of the most intriguing divisions of football because it's really top heavy with teams that could go to the playoffs. With the added wild card spot, I mean, it's safe to say that maybe we could expect 3 teams from the NFC West inside the NFC playoffs this upcoming season. How do you see the division playing out? Who's going to win the division? Who's going to be at the bottom of the division? And where might things be a toss-up between 2 and 3?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we can call it just top heavy anymore because I think all 4 of these teams have the potential to be winning teams in 2021. I really, truly believe that. Now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for some of these teams, but for me, and we are recording this after the injury to Cam Akers, which sucks for the Los Angeles Rams. There was a lot of people that were very, very excited about Cam Akers. And I think that Darrell Henderson is a good football player. I think that he isn't going to be an upgrade from Cam Akers, but can definitely hold his own there. Now, he's not the all-around weapon, but I digress. We will get into that more later. I know that the San Francisco 49ers are projected to win like 10 or 10 and a half games. I don't see that as much from them. I know that they've won when they've had Jimmy G healthy, but I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this division. It's just no matter what happens. I mean, I know one thing going in and year out, it's the Seattle Seahawks are going to win 10 games. And so for that reason, for that known, I'm going to put them at number 1. Number 2, I'm still going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I like the improvement that they made bringing Matthew Stafford in. He's an upgrade. Number 3, San Francisco, and then number 4, Arizona. Although I think all of these teams, like I said, could win 8+ games this year.
That's a good way to point it. I mean, it's really hard because it feels like, and I know that there's going to be some fan bases that are going to react to us in the comments saying, well, this team shouldn't be 4th. It's not a slight at that team. It just shows how good the damn division is.
It's the best division in football, and I don't think
you can argue it. No, I don't think you really can argue it. Ian, how does it play out for you with the NFC West this upcoming season, particularly, I mean, Russell Wilson, all things, the fences have been mended. He's back. Jimmy G, Trey Lance, who's going to be quarterback at San Francisco? And then you look at other teams, the Los Angeles Rams, obviously running backs now a little bit of an issue now in terms of the depth after Henderson. Who are they going to look at? Could they maybe execute a trade, maybe bring in a guy like Royce Freeman this offseason or after if preseason cuts happen? Always a possibility. How does it shape out for them? And then Kyler Murray and Kliff Kingsbury, a big year for them. I mean, the storylines for this division, they write themselves, but how does the order go?
It's tough, man, because I don't want to pick any of these teams to be 4th. You know, it doesn't feel right to put any of them at 4th, but there are 4 teams and you can't have ties. So, well, you can have ties, but you can't have everyone be first place. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know. It's really tough, honestly. And I think this is the first video that I've disagreed with Dalton on the first place team. So I'm okay with that. We'll do it. We'll do it for some entropy here, but I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams at number 1. It's close. And it always seems like we talked about the Titans and the Colts always duking it out. It seems like the Rams and Seahawks always have a little bit of a thing too. Now, it's different in this division because the 49ers also in recent years have obviously been very good, and the Cardinals coming up too. So it's interesting, but I do have the Rams edging them out. I think I have Seattle at number 2. I would probably have, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Trey Lance, and I think he fits Kyle Shanahan's scheme very well. And I think he can hit the ground running there. He's a smart guy, super athletic. So I think I'm going to go with San Francisco edging out the Cardinals. And it's tough because I feel like the Cardinals were kind of on the cusp last year. And so a lot of fans might be looking at this year like, hey, this is our moment, right? Kliff Kingsbury, he's been here a little bit. We can take the next step. But there's one thing standing in the way, and it's those 3 teams above you, all of which can be playoff contenders too. Like if you were in a weaker division, then it would be different. Like maybe the NFC North, it would be different, but you're not. You're in Arizona. You're close to the Tropic of Cancer. You know, you're not where you need to be. So I do think the Cardinals have a very tough test in those 3 teams, and I think that might end up putting them in a position where people won't expect, a little bit lower than we're accustomed to.
Well, for me, the division, I mean, it's so tough to really figure out who goes where. And I think, yes, you can make the argument Seattle probably the perennial odds-on favorite there for the first spot. But I think you could almost maybe make a case for any of these teams to be first in the division with how good it is. And I think a lot of it for the San Francisco 49ers is riding on, can they stay healthy, right? Can Deebo Samuel stay healthy? Can Raheem Mostert stay healthy? Are they going to roll with Jimmy G to start the season, or Trey Lance? I mean, there's so many questions we have with San Francisco. Nick Bosa is going to be back, luckily, this year, healthy. That's going to be great for them. Seattle, the offensive line. Is Russ going to have enough to stay happy? I think all things are mended right now between them, but you never know. The defense last year for Seattle was atrocious to watch. I mean, Dalton, you were talking about it in our NFC East division preview where we were looking at the Dallas Cowboys defense from last year. I felt like Seattle's was absolutely worse. They were hard to watch last year because they were getting shredded every single week, and their depth was tested at cornerback. Now, obviously, with the addition of Witherspoon is going to help out there. And then the Los Angeles Rams. How big of a difference will Matthew Stafford make for this football team for Sean McVay, which I feel like this year the pressure is on McVay, the pressure is on Kliff Kingsbury in Arizona. Is the pressure on Pete Carroll a little bit, considering the fact that the Seahawks last year had these high expectations? They were explosive offensively for the first part of the season, but they had one of the most disappointing displays in the wild card round against the Rams, who really had Jared Goff, who had a thumb. He couldn't do much from the quarterback position at that point, but luckily, you had the number one defense in the NFL. What storyline, Dalton, are you most looking forward to regarding this division here in 2021? And then Ian will ask you the same thing.
Man, there's so many storylines. I mean, Mr. Unlimited is a huge storyline. I think that he's played quarterback so well over the past couple of years. I think that he deserves a shot to get that MVP award one of these years. And if he can elevate this team to be the number one team in the NFC West, if he can put up those numbers, if they let Russ cook, let Mr. Unlimited cook a little bit early in the season, and he plays like he did in the first half of last year, I think that he could go out and win an MVP award. For me, it's about him carrying that franchise for the past 10 years. And I know that they had a fantastic defense for a lot of that. Like you said, last year, that defense is gone. And so for me, the storyline is, can he do enough? That is Russell Wilson. Can he do enough to elevate that team to that number one spot? And I think that he has the talent to do it. For me, them winning the division is more about the Rams losing a couple of pieces on defense and John Johnson and Troy Hill. I think that was really big for them. And then for me, just not really being a massive believer in the San Francisco 49ers yet. I think that they're three great teams, but for me, that's the biggest storyline. And then can Kliff and Kyler do enough for Kliff to keep his job, and for Kyler to earn that extension after his third year in the NFL, get that early contract extension?
I like it. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, I would probably go with the top storyline that I'm looking at is obviously, I think, Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And that's going to be a very fun combination, because I think looking at last year, like, you can make the argument that Jared Goff was worse with Sean McVay than Stafford was without Sean McVay. So now you kind of flip them. Now Stafford has that offensive mind that he hasn't had. Now he has Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods at his disposal. I really like the potential that's there, because I think Stafford, is a more dynamic quarterback. He's tougher in the pocket. He's more proactive as a playmaker. So I'm very excited to see how Stafford and McVay mesh, because having watched Lions football up close for a long time, I can tell you, I think that Stafford kind of drew the short end of the straw in Detroit. Like, a lot of time, it was him kind of pulling this team up. And, he got a lot of flack for it because of their poor performance year after year. But I really think going to the Rams is going to be a nice change of pace for him. They did lose a lot of pieces on defense, like Dalton said. And John Johnson, I think his impact in particular is going to be one that they're really going to miss, because he was super versatile. He's a good playmaker. So I'm really interested to see how they replace him. I do like some of the pieces they have moving up in the wings in that secondary. Terrell Burgess, Taylor Rapp, and then of course you have Jaylen Ramsey and Darius Williams, keeping that corner room a little stable, even losing Troy Hill. But I'm really interested to see what Raheem Morris does with that division. I do think the offense has enough explosive potential with Stafford and McVay. You can say, all right, these guys are going to be close to the top, and they're going to be in competition there. So, and then the other three teams, though, I mean, it's so interesting. This is such a storyline dense division, because there's just so much. Each of these teams has a claim to potentially getting the division. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting. Jobs are on the line, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Did you guys happen to catch 𝗙𝗢𝗙𝗓𝗓's interview with Jaylen Ramsey? He talked about it too. And look, Jaylen Ramsey, when I look at him, he's a dog of a cornerback. The best athlete, I think, out there, and one of the best corners we've seen in a long time since Champ Bailey. The one thing I will throw out, though, I think 𝗙𝗢𝗙𝗓 was giving him some free game. He talked about, hey, how come you didn't show up to OTAs? He's like, back when, I played with Peyton, there was no way we were not showing up for OTAs. He's like, do you feel like there's a little bit of a lack of leadership on the Rams side with Jaylen Ramsey? Is that concerning? Or do you feel like maybe a guy like Matthew Stafford could rectify that, maybe if he has a good year going into next season?
I mean, personally, I just think that we're living in a different time. I mean, 𝗙𝗢𝗙𝗓's a different dude. He's a dog. I mean, he'll just go up and snatch a chain. Like, he wants to go out there and battle all the time. And not to say that Jaylen Ramsey doesn't, but it's just a different time now. Guys aren't going to go to OTAs and risk injury for no real upside when you're a 6-7 year veteran.
Yeah, that's true. And he's got a lot of money.
In his case, a 5-year veteran. But
the check is already in the bank.
He's the best in the league. So, I mean, we really need him during
you don't really need to question what he's doing, too. I mean, if he's been the best in the league, I mean.
No.
And he's always been one of those guys who, he's a little eccentric, but he gets the job done. He's
eccentric.
A bit of a personality, but he gets the job done either way. So.
Hey, celebrity boxing match, Golden Tate versus Jaylen Ramsey. We are here for it, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that you're with us every single morning beginning August 2nd. Pro Football Network Daily, a daily 30-minute show with Dalton, Ian, and myself as we break down the biggest topics around the National Football League. We bring in our NFL insider, Adam Beasley, and we bring in our fantasy analyst, 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗘𝗦, to bring you all the fantasy news and action that you need for your lineups in the season, folks. You get that here, Pro Football Network Daily. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel to get access to all of this exclusive content and more.